Coming up on this episode of Bonus Balls, we break down the winners and losers of the MPPL Buffalo event. And then we go on location to talk with LA Ironman superstar Oliver Lang on their Buffalo performance and what the future holds for the team ranked first in both professional leagues. All that plus more news, reviews, and previews right now on Bonus Balls TV.
Welcome to another edition of Bonus Balls. I'm Evan Money. This man here is Chris Iaquinta, of course, and we've got a monster show for you today, folks. Of course, last time we talked about our predictions for the MPPL Buffalo, and of course, I was right every time. Well, most of the time anyway. But we're going to get into that. I also had a chance to sit down with Oliver Lang and talk about the big victory that we predicted, of course, in Buffalo. But we're going to get to that later. Right now, let's go inside the MPPL.
Inside the MPPL, brought to you by PB Review. When it comes to paintball gear, find out what's hot and what's not today at pbreview.com.
All right, folks, we're now inside the MPPL Losers Lounge. Here we go, 18th place, the Naughty Dogs, as Chris and I both predicted. I'm telling you, it's the green uniforms, Chris.
Well, you know, they're probably the only team cemented to lose their spot for 2009, and it's terrible because, as you were saying, they were one of the premier franchise teams a couple years ago going toe-to-toe with Dynasty, and now we might not even see them again for 2009. It's devastating.
We're going to miss you guys. 17th place, Oakland Blast. All right, the Epic kids have seen the highs and the lows of the pro ranks here, Chris. Where do you see these guys in the future?
You know, I don't see anything coming out of them for the rest of the year, but looking forward, much like the Hurricanes have started down and moved their way up a couple seasons, I think Oakland Blast is going to be that next team that they're going to, like a phoenix, they're going to rise out of the ashes, and you're going to see them move up in the next couple seasons.
All right, 16th place, Miami Rage. Hey, Chino's got all the moves on the dance floor, but what is Art Mendoza going to do? This is the second bad year in a row for them.
You know, it's not just a bad year for them. Last year, they had to buy back into the MPPL so that they could play this season, and now they're on the cusp of possibly losing their pro spot. Again, you're going to have to ask yourself, is it going to be worth it coming back into the MPPL for 2 years in a row, having to buy back in after being deregulated out? So I don't see them actually doing it. So this could be very well the last year you see Miami Rage as a pro team.
Chino and Art, let's pick it up, guys. All right, folks, middle of the road, here we go. 10th place, Jersey Authority. 9th place, Tampa Bay Damage. 8th place, X Factor. And yes, you X Factor fans, as I predicted on the way down, we'll see if they can pick it up for the rest of the year. All right, folks, let's get straight to the winner's circle. All right, 4th place, the biggest surprise of the tournament, Chris. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Excessive, coming out of nowhere, just like last year, to get this one event to kind of secure their spot. Is this going to be a repeat performance, or was this a one-of-a-kind?
I have to admit that it was probably a one-of-a-kind performance. They're sitting 13 overall now for the series. So as you know, as they've done in the past, one Sunday has pretty much secured their spot for 2009. It's unbelievable how this team keeps coming back from literally from the dead. You know, some teams, they just stay there, they just bury them, and it's over. But Excessive, rising again, we're probably never going to see them in the top 4, but it looks like we'll see them in 2009.
All right, folks. 3rd place, Dynasty. And Chris, as you and I were talking about, this is like the days of old, Clash of the Titans, Dynasty, Excessive. Yeah, so we're going back to it. But I did have a chance to talk with Dave Baines, and he was mentioning that they had the most penalties they've ever had of all tournaments. And he said, we were playing good enough to beat all these guys, and they just shot themselves in the foot. But again, just like last year, they took a tournament off, they came back strong. They need to pull out some miracles here if they're going to get back to their winning ways, Chris.
Well, I tell you, with the way the Ironmen are playing right now, we're looking at the most likely season for Dynasty not to win the overall championship. Can they still win the next event? Can they still win Commander's Cup? Absolutely, but is it going to be enough to secure the championship? Right now, the way the points are sitting, they're 4th overall, but Ironmen have a huge lead, and Hurricanes even have just underneath that. So Dynasty, usually they're just up against one other team to win it all for the year. Right now, they have 2 teams that could really take them out. We might be looking at a new champion for 2008.
All right, folks, 2nd place, as almost predicted. As you recall from last show, I said, that's right, Chris, I said Hurricanes will win it, if not the Ironmen, and it came down literally to inches, so let's just rub it in, Chris. You picked them 11th or 12th. I had them right where they were going to be, but again, I have to shame the Hurricanes for them not pulling it out. Oh my gosh, they had it down to a one-on-one, and with some Mickey Cuba magic, they were able to rally the Ironmen back. But nonetheless, the Hurricanes, Ironmen, and Dynasty are the only 3 teams right now to do consistent top 4 finishes. So I see Hurricanes moving on strong the rest of the year, and they could be the champions, if not Ironmen.
So you're predicting Hurricanes the first place before the year is out?
I'm predicting Hurricanes to win it all for 2009 right here.
Oh, I would disagree with you, but the I Hate Chris Iaquinta forum on PP Nation is already growing big enough. So I'll just fan the flames of hatred right now. Hurricanes, they were my big surprise of the tournament. I did place them 11th, which I'll admit is probably a little bit way too low for the way they've been going for the year so far. Excessive, very impressive, but Hurricanes definitely shocked me. As we'll see later coming down in the finals footage, it came down to a one-on-one that just by inches the Hurricanes almost pulled out a first place victory.
And this kind of reminds me a little bit of Edmonton Impact last year. Had Dynasty on the ropes, couldn't do it.
Was the bridesmaid 3 times in a row.
Yeah,
and so it was just incredible.
Yeah, so now kind of seeing the same thing. But let's move on to as you predicted, Chris. Let me remind you that Chris has some accurate predictions. He said Ironman all the way, #1, had it in the bag. And this actually was surprising to me, Chris. This was their first MPPL victory.
This was their first MPPL victory. You see, when you look at guys on the team like Oliver, who just won every MPPL victory when he was on Dynasty, now all of a sudden he went a long time without a victory. And not only are they sitting on top of the MPPL right now, they're also on top of the NXL when standing. So you normally don't see this, because Dynasty didn't play a lot of NXL when they were ruling over the MPPL. So you have for the first time a team dominating both leagues. And right now, statistically, the Ironmen are going to have to, it is their series to lose at this point. They don't have to prove anything else. All they need to do is continue to make top 8, maybe one more top 4. And it'll be so all of a sudden, before you know it, we have a brand new MPPL 2008 champion.
All right, folks, let's cut to the footage now and see for ourselves how close these 3 final games actually were.
The Hurricanes began with a great breakout, taking a lot of ground against the Ironmen, playing the same aggressive style that have kept them at the top of the standings all year. The Ironmen drop a few key bodies, and the Canes make an impressive bunker move at the 50 to shut down the field and take Game 1.
Moving on to Game 2, the Ironmen quickly go down one body off the break and don't take as much ground as we've seen them in the past. This game stays even for majority of the match until Nicky Cuba makes a great bunker move at the 50. Finally coming down to a one-on-one situation at the 50-yard line, where after some close quarter battling, Nicky once again is able to seal the deal and take Game 2 for the Ironmen.
In the final game, you see the Ironmen go for a more aggressive breakout than they did in Game 2, really putting the pressure on the Hurricanes. Oliver was the first to break into the Canes' 40-yard line, trying to make something happen, but is quickly eliminated. But then once again, Nicky Cuba inserts into the midfield, doing more damage from the tape line, finally eliminating the last Hurricane player, giving the Ironmen their first ever MPPL 7-man pro victory. As for the MVP of the event, Nicky Cuba himself summed it all up into one word.
How's it feel, Nicky?
Amazing. Love it. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Oliver Lang is going to face the money as he sits down with me and talks about the huge victory in Buffalo.
PB Nation, the world's largest digital paintball community. With over 400,000 members, PB Nation is your first and last destination for all things paintball. Sign up today at pbnation.com.
Welcome to Face the Money. We're live on location at the SPLATXD Oliver Lang Pro School photo shoot. Oliver, thanks for hanging out with us, brother.
My pleasure, pal.
It's been a couple years, but we finally got you live in studio. We've been on the phone a couple
years.
times. Yeah, so appreciate you making the drive. All right, first question, Oliver. Let's get this straight. Do you remember, I know you've been playing a long time, do you remember the old Ironman back with Youngblood and Bob Long and when it was basically the Ironman and everyone else?
When I first started playing, Dave had just retired, so I never actually saw Dave in action. But Bob Long was he frequented our local field, so I remember seeing Bob Long, and I think that was right at the departure, right when I started getting into tournament ball. So I never saw the Ironman with Bob Long, but of course when I joined the Ironman, it still had legends: Marty Bush, Shane Pastana, Brian Benini, Brahim Estefan. So there's still some legends on the team when I joined.
Oh, absolutely. Now, are you gonna don the Dave Youngblood suit ever, or is that retired?
I would love to. I think we need to make a Dave Youngblood tournament suit.
Oh, now we're talking.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Now we're talking. All right, let's talk about Buffalo, Oliver. Obviously, You guys are pumped. You're excited. This is arguably your first non-controversial win in the MPPL.
True.
Was it as a big deal as we're making it, or was it just another game for you guys?
No, it was a big deal. It's hard to win any tournament. This year's kind of been this weird season where all these teams that never really win, to tell you the truth. And, we've been in the hunt. We've been there so many times. It was just a monkey off our back to win. It really was. It was a big deal. It felt like I remembered, and hopefully we get more of them. But we're in first place in both series, and now it just kind of legitimizes it. Winning a tournament, because we don't want to win the series and not win a tournament.
Absolutely. Well, let's play off that. What you said is, do you see pro paintball this year turning more into like golf, where you got guys 0 to 0, and you never know who's? Really, there's only 3 teams out of all of them that have made the top 4 3 times.
Yeah, it's a weird season. I think in general paintball is it's taken a different turn. as consistent teams aren't as consistent anymore. These teams that have been around for a long time are, maybe not around anymore or have completely new players. And, with the 7-man format, it sucks to say, but anybody can win it at any given day if you're playing good that day. And, as long as you're consistent in the 7-man is what's really important. But at the same time, you're going to see these teams come up and win and then not make a Sunday the next time. And that's what we've been seeing all year, even in both leagues actually right now. So I don't know exactly what the problem is, but at least we're there. At least we're consistent.
Well, let's talk about the 2-league system here. You've been quoted saying that the Ironmen aren't really focused on winning a 7-man, and I can't see you not focused on winning.
No, it's not winning. It's focused on playing them. We going into the season, being on this team, we've always been an X-ball team since I've joined it, and obviously the people that die, that's mainly what they focus on. They want us to focus on. So that's what we practice for, We actually don't even practice for the 7-mans. Play the fields. Now, don't get me wrong, we practice on being a good team. And, you remember back in the day when you used to play tournaments, you never go out and practice the fields. You practice on being a good team, and that's the difference, Yes, it's going to help if you go and play the fields a little bit, but fields are always going to be different. Maybe you're going to see something that you did in practice that you want to do in the tournament and it's not there anymore. Or maybe you think that you can do it and then you go into the tournament and, you hesitate and then you don't do it. So kind of going in there blind, 7-man, it's a gamble. But as long as you're a good team and, you trust the people around you, you can win tournaments, And we're focused on winning, don't get me wrong. We might not be focused on playing the NPPL as seriously as some other teams that only play the NPPL, but we want to win.
Okay. Well, again, the only thing you're missing is an NPPL title. You talked about teamwork, and I think that gets missed a lot of times, especially with the media. Everybody wants a superstar and wants to hail some guy. So I've noticed your role now in the team, you've talked about it before, is making the other players around you better. And
Absolutely.
I think we saw that with Nicky Cuba. He was on fire in the finals,
great.
and he handed you guys the win.
Absolutely. It's all about making the guys around you better. People come up to me and, even people that experienced veterans have been around for a long time. They're like, oh, you're having a tough tournament. And I'm like, no, I'm not. We're winning every game, or whatever. To me, it doesn't matter if I get shot, if I shoot nobody. As long as we win the tournament, that's all that matters to me, And it's been like that for a while. I've been playing paintball for a long enough time that I know what it takes to win. Even if I don't shoot anybody, if I'm in that spot and I'm alive, and we win the game, we win the game. We win the tournament. It doesn't matter.
So it's shoot, 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 kill, kill, kill.
Win, win, win.
There we go. All right. Now, let's talk about, we talked about, again, some of these other teams going back and forth, and I think there's one other team that did what Ironman did. Of course, when you came on, everyone expected, the Ironmen are going to be winning everything, and that wasn't the case. You guys had to kind of build it up. But now we see the Hurricanes kind of being another consistent team. You got to play them just recently. Are these guys for real?
The Hurricanes, they're a good bunch of kids. They've been playing together for a long time now, and that's going to pay off eventually. The one thing they don't have and they lack, and it probably would have expedited this process, and they probably would have been in the finals a little bit more often had they had this, is they need a veteran. They need someone that knows and understands how to win. Those kids are good players. They just don't know how to win yet. And that takes a lot of losing to learn how to win. And once you get there, and they're almost there, but they need that little extra veteran push, kind of like what Chris did with Aftermath, that veteran push. And they won Jacksonville, and that's what it really takes. Is if you got some veterans that know how to win and can have that gumption. That's why Dynasty's so good, is because all of those guys know how to win. They've been winning for so long. It's contagious. They just know they go on the field, they're going to win.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about some of your surprises. Again, we touched on the Hurricanes. It's great to get your opinion on some of these other teams. So who was the biggest surprise? Let's talk 7-man. Good or bad? Who do you think has kind of been the biggest surprise for you so far this year?
As team-wise?
Team-wise.
Well, I'm going to have to say Aftermath, because they came up from, last year, a semi-pro team. They won they won the series, I don't know. Anyways, they're a pro team now. So they know how to win in the lower division. And, they won Jacksonville. They picked up Chris Lasoya, and they had a great tournament. All those kids on that team are young and hungry. Mike Hinman pushes them and, really works them. And they work their butts off, and, they won. But at the same time, then they blew it in Buffalo. So, it's kind of give or take.
Gotcha. Oliver, we appreciate the time. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Pleasure.
All right, folks, that wraps up another edition of Bonus Balls. For Chris Iquinta, I'm Evan Money. We'll see you next time.